Hello Clara, hello Coty, hello Bay. Hi Albert. Thanks very much for joining me again for Pops Mountain TV. Today's episode is quite a long episode. There's an interesting story about a lost alpage. And we've also got at the end a return of Nonna's special word. And we also have the results of the picture quiz from the last episode. So, sit back and enjoy. So here we are at the edge of Le Chargeau, and I want to show you something which I think is really quite interesting. So if we go this way, what I wanted to show you was this here. When I'm looking at these walls, these stone walls, they're in the middle of the woods, just behind Le Chargeau, and they're obviously evidence of somebody who lived in the woods. And if you think about it, that must be a long time ago. So I've asked a few local people to explain to me how people used to live in Morzine, and in particular in Le Chargeau, and to explain to me what those stone walls were used for. And I've got the answer. Those stone walls were used to set out the fields in which people kept their cows. So different families in Le Chargeau would have their own cows and they would have their own fields. So that little bit about the cows and the fields, that's just a small part of the lifestyle of the people that used to live here 200 years ago, 100 years ago. And that lifestyle, as you may know, was built around keeping cows. People who lived here, they lived off their cows made milk, their cows made cheese, and that was what they would live on. They would sell their cheese and they would eat their cheese. But they had the cows all year round, and their big problem was that for half of the year in Morzine and in Le Chargeau, there's nothing for the cows to eat because it's all snow. So what did they do? Their solution was they had two farms, two houses, two chalets. One in Morzine, and that was where they went in the winter. In the winter, they kept their cows in a farm, a chalet in Morzine. And in that chalet, the cows would be in the back of the ground floor. The people would live in the front of the ground floor, and upstairs would be all the hay that the cows needed to get through the year. I think you can imagine that living in that sort of a chalet through the winter with all that snow, no electric light, no telephone, no television, was pretty difficult. They lived a life, as I understand it, they would sleep a lot of the time. They would go to bed at maybe 4 or 5 o'clock when it went dark, get up the next morning at maybe 8, 9 o'clock when it got light. So their daytimes were very short. It was extremely smelly because the cows were living in another room just downstairs. And it was a difficult life. But come the springtime, things got distinctly better. They moved out of their farmhouse in Morzine, and with their cows they came up the Vallée de la Manche, and they moved into their summer residence in Le Chargeau. This would be around about April. In the summertime, the cows were moved up onto the high alpine pastures. So there you go, there's Le Chargeau, and you can quite clearly see the springtime grazing here. These trees would have actually not come down this far. As we saw, all our stone walls were here, just right next door to Le Chargeau. So there would have been a much bigger area of spring grazing. But you can also quite clearly see the summer grazing up here. And you can see that the path that I'm trying to find is the path that runs from Le Chargeau up here to this summer grazing. You can also see here Beaumoron, and that's where the people from Le Chargeau went and lived in the summer. So if we go a bit further, there are the chalets, quite a few of them here, and people who know Le Chargeau will know that there's a nice straightforward zigzag path here up past the waterfall up to this Alp, and that's where people went, and that's where they kept their cows. They kept the cows on this side of this stream. On the other side, this side of the stream, which is directly above Le Chargeau, they didn't keep cows at all because the path from Le Chargeau to there was too steep. What they did here was they used all this area here, this side of the stream, all this area was used for making hay. And to get there, people, generally speaking, walked up this way. Well, they were already there in their chalets, and they walked across the stream, past the chalet we now know as Loin des Camps, for those people who have been here, and they access this area to do the work of cutting the hay, baling the hay, and then they would go back in the evenings and stay here. So the path that I'm trying to find was a path that was used really for one thing only, which was to get hay, the hay that they cut from here, down to the valley and then down the valley into Morzine. The hay that they cut was actually much too much to be able to store in the chalet in Morzine. So what they did was they cut, some of it they kept on the mountain in barns. And they brought it down from the barn to Morzine several times in the autumn and the winter. And that was called La Descente du Foin. So you've seen the walls. They tell us about the people who lived here 100 years ago, 200 years ago. So I'm keen to find out how exactly people got from Le Chargeau up to the mountain. I've asked a couple of local people and they've said to me that these paths, you can still find them. There is a path here. That's the path that comes from Le Chargeau behind me, up to the mountains in front of me. And I'm going to start out following this path. Now, fortunately, Émile Guédon, who has lived here all his life, and he learned about these paths from his father. He's drawn me a rough map of how we might get from Le Chargeau to the mountain pastures, the Alps. Apparently, the path is not there all the way. It's a bit tricky to find, and he wasn't really that keen on telling me, but I'm going to have a go. And for those of you who know Le Chargeau well, I'm sure you've walked up here and you've seen this split in the routes, but we take this one here, the left turn. Now I appreciate that it's hard to spot, but if you just look there, you can just discern the beginning of a zig, and then up there you can see a bit of a zag. I think that's the beginning, and there must have been 5 or 6 of these zigzags that was on the little map. So if we just follow them around, yeah, I can see it. That's quite a clear path. You can see that it's a path which was built, I think, by the people who lived here, but it's being maintained mainly by the wild boar and other animals who you can see made quite a mess of it. You all right? Well, that was quite a walk. I came, I'd say it was about 10 minutes, steep like that. If I just take you over here a little bit, you can see the straight path that Émile was talking about over here. So we've got to the flat area at the top of the steep climb. We've reached an area which you can probably see, or you might be able to see, is an area where the animals spend time. And then ahead of us, we've got this path. Now I'm walking up this path, and Émile said to me, "Tu marches en billet," which I think means you walk across and up at the same time, en billet. And that's what I'm doing. And every now and again, I'm in the middle of nowhere and I can't see any path. And then all of a sudden, I can see the path again. So I'll just show you that. If you look ahead of me now, I've suddenly seen the path. Can you see that there? And if you look behind me, no path. Do that? Nothing. Nothing really. So anyway, I'm just going to get excited about another piece of path that I've found. So Émile said that I should walk along this path en billet until I came across a stream. And at the stream I turned right, and I went up the hill. So I'm going to get back to you when I've found the stream. I'll just carry on. I think it's going to be about half an hour's walk until I get to the point where I hit the stream. Then I'll come back to you. See you in a moment. Just to my right here is the stream that I'm going to follow up. It's dry, but you can see there used to be a waterfall there, and you can see the stream running up there. We're going to go, following the stream on the left, we're going to go up there. And this is the third of our 4-part trip to the Alpage, the pastures on the mountain. Well, I've made it. I'm out on the alpine pasture that I keep talking about. Samantha is enjoying the pasture. You can imagine how the cows loved it as well. Over here is where I came out onto this bit. I'm now going to go back in to see if I can find a grange. That Emile said there was an old grange where they used to stack the hay, and it was next door to a flat pasture. So I'm going to see if I can find that. There it is. And again, according to Emile, this is where they would store the barn, the hay. See the big double doors? That would be to get the hay out rather than a single door for a person. And you can also see that there are no windows. So quite clearly a barn. That's a scythe. Look at that. That's what they used to make the hay with. What's a scythe? Put that back. So I found it. This is it. This is the wonderful flat Alpage. This is where people used to spend their summers 50, 60 years ago. Don't suppose anybody else has been here since then. It's lovely. It's peaceful, birds sing, beautiful views behind me. It's an absolutely wonderful part of the world, and I'm really pleased that I've found it. Took some doing, it was a bit steep in places, got lost a few times, but really enjoyed it. I think it's time for lunch, so Samantha, come.
noticed that Mummy and Daddy, Mum and Dad, are often quite chatty with their friends after school. And it can be a bit annoying because you'd quite like to get home really and play football or go and have your snack. Well, chatty is a good word, isn't it? There are lots of words that mean chatty. Talkative, verbose, effusive, babbling, blah blah blah. Well, I've got another one, and this is a lovely word. It's a long word, and it's loquacious. Here we have the word loquacious. quite difficult to spell. And loquacious comes from the Latin loqui, which means to talk. It's a very old word. It's a word that has been used in English since the 17th century. Loquacious is an adjective. Well, what's an adjective, you might ask? Well, it's a describing word. It describes something or someone. We could say a red bus, so red is the adjective. We could say a beautiful bride like Megan. Beautiful is the adjective. So we might say, for example, my mum is very loquacious with her friends after school. We might say that London cabbies are loquacious, which they are. And we might say, actually,